Are you a pro wrestling fan? Then odds are at some point in your life, you were a backyard wrestler. In this new series, I'm going to take you through how we came from this to this. It's a long story, covering nearly 2 decades. But if you're a nostalgic person missing the backyard days of yesteryear and a simpler time of the 90s and early 2000s, this is the story for you. This is Backyard Wrestling Cinema. Welcome to Backyard Wrestling Cinema, Season 2, Episode 6. In the half dozen episodes that we've been on TV, we've been building towards our pay-per-view entitled Dead End. And the main angle we were doing was the BWL, the Budget Wrestling League, was invading our company, Brookwood 4 Wrestling, B4W. Last week, we had revealed the BWL's financial backer, the person responsible for the BWL, turned out to be Enigma. Not an Enigma, a wrestler named Enigma. However, he lost ownership to myself, Denver Street, and this show was our unification show. This was also our first episode to ever feature a music video to open up the show.
So you wanna be a champion?
Now, most of the clips were from our early time as the HWF, and believe me when I tell you, we got a lot of complaints from all the new B4W wrestlers that they weren't featured in this music video. The video wasn't great, but it was a learning process. Back then, you had to edit from VHS tape to VHS tape, and you used these 2 giant machines to edit from one machine to the next, and a computer to add the actual titles and graphics on there. So it was a learning process, and we would get better over time. The first matchup was myself against Mumbles. I was the B4W United States champion representing B4W, and Mumbles was the BWL television champion representing the BWL. In real life, Mumbles was actually my cousin. This wasn't something we brought up on TV just yet, but this was a match we had talked about and worked over in our heads for years, and to be able to do it on TV, we were definitely both excited about it.
It's a street sweeper! Denver Street's finisher! 1, 2, 3! Denver Street has 1 match!
In the end, I scored the victory over Mumbles and unified the B4W United States and the BWL television titles into one. I was involved in our next match as well. It was the High Rollers, TJ Money and Mr. Benjamins, taking on my team, Denver Street and Tommy Thunder, collectively known as Mac and Cheese. The High Rollers have been claiming to be the B4W Tag Team Champions, even though at this point we didn't have actual tag titles. Prior to this episode, Mr. Benjamins had defeated me for the United States title before losing it back.
TJ, coming back with some fire of his own.
And TJ Money had scored a huge victory over current B4W champion Rico DMF just 1 week ago.
No, he can't fight them both up. Double DDT.
So the High Rollers were clearly riding a wave of momentum heading into Dead End. Now, in real life, both teams, both my team and the High Rollers, both thought we were the best and the greatest tag team in backyard wrestling history. And we really believed it to the point where there was actually some friction involved in this match. Was chaotic because of that. And maybe friction's the wrong word, but there was definitely real life competition when it came to this one.
Do a pancake of some sort. Front face. 1, 2, 3, and your winners and the greatest tag team.
In the end, the High Rollers got the victory and they defeated Mac and Cheese. And that was done by design. We wanted to keep these guys involved and be a big part of the show going forward. And as weird as it is to say, sometimes wins and losses matter to the people involved in the show a little bit too much. Now in this show, there was only 3 matches. We did the 3 major matches. And we would change this format for our next pay-per-view and try to include more people. But we kind of wanted at this time the pay-per-views to be exclusive and not have everybody featured. The unification of the B4W and the BWL championships was up next. And the belts were hung up using a plastic chain that we actually got at our job at KB Toys. Now, years later, when we would go back and film stuff for B4W in 2020, collectively as a group, this is the first time we'd been back there in over a decade. We actually found that chain, and I took part of it home with me.
Oh, here? Oh my God! Wow!
But it was cool to see that something from back then was still back there after all these years. As I mentioned, both belts were hung up high, but in this one, the winner would be walking away with a brand new championship called the Unified Championship. Now, if you're wondering how you can score one of those beauties for yourself, hang on. I'm retired. Those belts were actually made out of cardboard and a lot of electric tape, so you could make one for yourself. To me, in this one, Rico DMF really represented the new era of B4W, the public access years. He was somebody who had the same vision and passion for pro wrestling as I did, whereas Tommy Thunder represented our early days. He was the very foundation of B4W to me. And he wasn't a wrestling fan. He was a B4W fan, and he cared as much about the show as anybody else, if not more. The match just felt big. It felt important. And it was for a bunch of 16 and 17-year-old kids.
Oh, Rico opening up on the early stage. Tommy firing back the opening stages of the battle for unification match. Going up, right into the ladder. Suplex in the BWL. I think he has nothing. Rico popping to his feet. Look at Rico's right. Oh, he's got a second win. Opening up once again. Looking for the lightning bolt. Reversing it. Oh! He wants it though. Oh, it's a famouser. Oh, he might have got all that wind, that dust blowing right up in his eye.
Yeah, sure. Sheetrock was our preferred table. And there was even some blown spots during this match that really seemed to infuriate Tommy Thunder when I went back to watch it. I think he just wanted this match to be his best match ever, and it was one of our high-profile matches. It's one of the first ones we really built up to since we've been on TV.
Oh, Rico looking for the belt. Oh, getting hung and the ladder collapsing right on top of him.
In the end, Rico DMF climbed the ladder and claimed both championships.
What's he go? This is insane. Oh, it's a free fall! Oh my,
and became the first ever B4W and BWL unified champion. Even though he was there before the new BWL crew came in, after defeating a longtime B4W guy, it was a clear sign to all the newcomers that changes were coming, and we weren't going to just rely on the same old guard. The BWL angle was over, and B4W was about to soar to new heights.
Oh, plant Tommy!